Ratatouille is one of those risky movies, a fresh and new idea that I'm surprised Pixar greenlit at all. It has almost nothing in common with the other Pixar movies of the time, and it certainly doesn't try to market itself as much as a film solely for young children. There aren't any superheroes or talking cars, nope. Ratatouille is about, well, a rat that cooks. The older I get, the more I seem to really love it, precisely because of how risky and different it was. And it's fitting, because that's exactly the message that it presents, how a fresh perspective can be all the difference. There are two characters in Ratatouille that I find most relatable. The first is obviously Remy, a talented cook who craves the chance to do what he does best, but is stunted by his lack of opportunity. He is reminded by his father that rats are detested by humans, but when he tells Remy,
This is the way things are. You can't change nature.
Change is nature, Dad.
Remy isn't choosing to deny reality, he's choosing to believe things don't always have to be how they're expected to be. He believes that the status quo can be changed. As a culinary artist, Remy finds flavors, especially combined, to be both unique and new. He uses both of these words specifically, and I think that's very important. Let's go into the second character, and my personal favorite, critic Anton Ego. His name quite literally means an inflated sense of self. He is a caricature of the everyday critic that never seems to enjoy anything, and sees himself above everything that he reviews. We only see him once in the first half of the movie, in a very short backstory that implies that his review pretty much killed both Gusteau and the popularity of Gusteau's restaurant. The typewriter on which he writes his reviews appears like a skull, positioned perfectly in his coffin-shaped office. Ego himself is shaped like a coffin. His pale skin and shadowy presence makes him the Grim Reaper for any potential of culinary art in France. He is the perfect antithesis for Remy at the end of this movie. Ego craves perspective, as he likes to call it, and when the waiter inquires what he'd like for dinner, he asks for it point blank. Remy offers this perspective in the form of a nostalgic meal, but because others are equally affected by Remy's food, despite lacking Ego's specific childhood memory, it's clear that it communicates something deeper than just personal familiarity. In the memory, Ego is hurt. It appears that he has just crashed his bike. His mother strengthens his mood, his perspective of the current situation, by giving him a unique, homemade meal. The ratatouille that Remy cooks for Ego is clearly not the same soup from his childhood. It likely shares some similar flavors, enough to spark the memory, but I think there's more happening than simple nostalgia. The dish is unexpected, and not what he usually tastes. And as Colette points out, the dish itself is nothing special. That's the point. Its power doesn't come from complexity, but from how it's peculiar. The film frequently makes a point to show how Remy breaks the mold of the world around him, and the fact that he's a rat is a creative decision to further drive this point home. But you can also see this in just how much sheer terror and panic a few changes in the menu seems to cause in the kitchen.
Stop that soup! No!
The restaurant has a clear, rigid menu that is not meant to be experimented or tampered with. The head chef even plans a line of frozen foods, exactly the kind of food that Ego detests.
Monsieur Boyardee.
Touché.
So when Remy gives Ego the ratatouille, it's familiar, yet fresh and new, all at once. A new perspective that brings the color back into his cheeks. The pen that he has used so many times to destroy the dreams of chefs around him falls dramatically to the ground. But while his attitude has already changed at that point, it isn't until he sees the artist behind the ratatouille when Ego is truly transformed and his worldview turned on its head. He is so affected by the revelation that he becomes speechless, only offering his gratitude before leaving the restaurant. Remy has the perspective that Ego is craving all along, not because Remy is good at what he does, but because Remy is different, unexpected. As Ego says in his review, it rocks him to his core. The shutters of his office that were once closed off are now open, and Ego looks out, pondering what more he is missing. An overlooked part of Ego's character is that he doesn't see himself as just a consumer. He sees himself as an artist. That's why he despises Gusteau's claim that anyone can cook. To Ego, if anyone can create, then creation loses its meaning. But by the end of the film, Ego admits that even the simplest act of creation probably carries more meaning than his own criticism of it, because there is very little risk in negativity. Criticism only becomes meaningful when it defends something new or different. That kind of criticism is bold, it's risky. It opens the critic up to judgment in the same way art does. And that's really what art is, the risk to be seen and the subjectivity to be challenged. Not everyone can be a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere, is more than just a remark about an individual's origins. It's a reminder that artistry is being unique. Its uniqueness is what makes it art. New perspective.
Which one would you like?
Surprise me!
Remy was not accepted by society, even despite his talent. Despite Ego's glowing review, Gusteau's is still shut down once the rats are discovered. By and large, Remy will never be accepted, because he's a rat. But creativity and talent isn't about convincing society. It's about finding the people who will appreciate it, regardless of its source. For Remy, this means that he needs his talent to be seen. He needs the courage to share it, or it can never be appreciated.
I can't choose between two halves of
I'm
myself.
not talking about cooking. I'm talking about guts.
For Ego, both the consumer and artist, who closes himself off and expects to be disappointed wherever he goes, his jaded perspective of the world has undoubtedly robbed him of the perspective that he craves. Ego's lesson is similar to Remy's. Opportunity must be sought after. We only really enjoy creating and consuming when we approach both actively. Many of the characters in Ratatouille struggle with the idea that artistry isn't about perfection or approval, but about perspective, about seeing the world differently and having the courage to share that view. In a time when we're bombarded with mass-produced uniformity, everything starts to feel the same. Sometimes breaking the mold is as simple as being different, and being different is simply sharing what makes you, you.
What I say is true. Anyone can cook, but only the fearless can be